Hi everyone, this is Angel with Tech Tutelage, and in today's video I will show you how to attach block storage to multiple instances on Oracle Cloud. As a prerequisite for this video, you will need to have Oracle Cloud account and at least 2 instances running Ubuntu. If you need help with building an instance on Oracle Cloud, please check one of my videos on how to build free server on Oracle Cloud by clicking on that info card in the upper right corner. Also, if at any point you decide you want to subscribe for my channel, go ahead and do it. Now let's get to work because we have a lot to cover today. So the first thing that you want to do is once you're up in Oracle Cloud is you want to go ahead and create a new block storage. And to do that, you can go on the search bar and search for storage. And you can see this block volumes here. You can go ahead and click on it. And here, make sure you select it on block volumes and click on create block volume. Here you can give a name to your block volume. I'm going to call mine shared. And then down here, you can just keep pretty much everything as defaults unless you want to set up a backup policies. But in my case, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So then you can go ahead and click on the create block volume button. And once you do that, it will start provisioning it and it's going to take about a minute or so. And once it's ready, you can go ahead and attach it to your instances. Now that it shows available, you can go ahead and go click attach instances. And right now it's not in showings here because we don't have anything attached to the volume to, but you can go ahead, click on the attach button, and from here we can attach it to one of our instances. Now here you want to choose iSCSI, and then here we want to do read and write shareable because we want both instances that will be attaching to this storage device to be able to read and write simultaneously on it. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And here's going to give you a little warning that in order to prevent corruption resulting from uncontrolled read and write operations, you need to configure a clustered file system on your servers. So this is something that we're going to do next. But just to make sure, be aware that if you are using 2 instances to write on the same disk at the same time, you want to have this clustered system set up. Otherwise, there could be issues with your files. And they want you to acknowledge that you understand this issue. So we're going to have to put a check mark here. And then when you come down here, you're going to select the instance that you want to attach it to. And in my case, I have 2 instances, Web 1 and Web 2. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it to instance Web 1. And you can leave the rest here as the default. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click attach. And this is going to take a minute or so and it will be successfully attached. While I'm waiting for this one, I'm going to go ahead and attach the same disk to my other instance. So see, it forces you to do read-write shareable since it's already attached like this to another instance. And again, you have to acknowledge here. And here in the drop-down, you get to pick your second instance that you want to attach it to. And you can attach it to more than 2 instances. In my case, I only have 2 machines running, so I'm going to attach it to 2 of them. But the process is the same regardless of how many instances you're going to be attaching it to. So here, and then you can go ahead, click attach again, and then I'm going to go ahead and close. And as you can see, Web 1 is already attached. Now I'm going to go to my instances and I've already SSH'd into them. So you're going to have to SSH to your instances. So I have Web 1 and Web 2. I'm going to go connect to them and I'm just going to list them just to see what devices I have connected to them right now. And as you can see, I only have SDA 1. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. And I have SDA here too. And so then you can go back to your Oracle Cloud Console and make sure that your storage is now attached to both instances. As you can see now, both instances have the storage attached to them. And the next thing that you're going to want to do is go here and click on these 3 dots. And from here, you can get this iSCSI command. This is the command that's going to attach the block storage to your instance. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. And then I'm just going to paste the same command in both instances. I'm going to run it here and I'm going to run it here. And once you have this run successfully, you can go ahead and run lsblk again. And as you can see now, we have a device called SDB that is 50 gigs connected to our instance. And if I go here and run the same command, lsblk, we're going to see the same thing. We have this SDB 50 gig device connected to our instance Web 1. The next thing you want to do is I'm going to clear my screen here so it looks a little bit better. The next thing that you want to do is you want to go to open some ports here. So first I'm going to go to my console here and I'm going to search for virtual cloud networks. And here we're going to go, and there's a port we need to open. It's port 7777. Did I say it right? 47. And so once you get here, you're going to click on your virtual cloud network. But one thing to pay attention to is make sure what your CIDR block is. Now mine is 10.0.0.0.16. If yours is different, make a note of this, because this is what we're going to open the port to. Click here, and then here you're going to go down to the left, and you're going to look for security lists, and then default security lists here, and here we're going to open a port. So you can click on add ingress rule, and then here's where we're going to put that CIDR, right? In my case it's 10.0.0.0/16. Again, you're going to use what yours is, and the source port range you can leave blank. Destination port, here we're going to put 7777, and you can give it a description. I would just call it OCFS2, again, Oracle Cloud File System 2. So just to remember what the port is for. You can click on add, and once you have added that rule, you should be good here. And then the next thing that you want to do is you're going to go ahead and open this port on IP tables on both of those instances. Okay, so we're going to do nano etc IP tables rules version 4. And then here, what I usually like to do is just kind of go down a little bit like this and grab another rule like this, and then just paste it right under it. And I'm just going to go ahead and just change the port number right here. So I'm going to say 7777. This is what we need. And then the next thing that I want to do is you can run IP tables restore, and then give it path to your configuration file that you made the change in. There you go. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other server. So I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to type it. So I'm going to go here, paste it. So pretty much everything we're doing on one of the servers, we have to do on the other server. There's only one exception, but everything else should be identical on both servers. So we're going to open ports in both of them, and we're going to install everything, and all the configurations will be identical. So I'm going to do this paste. And then now here, I'm going to change this to 7777. There you go, and then I'm going to come here, copy this command that will reload the configuration file. Okay, I'm going to run it here. And now we should be set when it comes to ports. All of our ports should be open. And I'm going to go here and clear this one too to make it a little bit cleaner and better to see. Alright, now the next thing that you want to do is what we're going to do is we're going to install a tool called OCFS2, and that will be our cluster. So I'm going to run this. Apt install OCFS-tools, and again I'm going to do the exact same thing on the app server. I'm going to go ahead and run them like this, and you can click yes here and yes here. Alright, now once we have it installed on both machines, the next thing that we want you to run is going to be a command that will check what kernel version you're running on your server. So uname -r, and so I see the kernel version here is 5.13.0.1036. The next package that we want to install have to be the version of the kernel that you're running. So in my case, this is the version I'm running, and yours could be different. So make sure you check your kernel version, and when you run this next command to install these extra modules, make sure that you replace the end of the command with whatever version you have here. In my case, will be this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it here, and then I'm going to copy the whole thing so I can paste it in my other machine. So I'll go ahead and run it. Say yes. Run it again. And yes again. So this is a very important step. Now, if you're running this on Oracle Linux, that you shouldn't have to do this, but I'm doing it on Ubuntu, so you need to install that package. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Alright, and once you have it installed, I'm going to go ahead again, clear my screen. And I wait until I have it done on both computers. There you go, it's ready here too. So I'm going to clear the screen. So I have clear screen on both machines. The next command that you want to run is going to create the cluster configuration file. So I'm going to paste it on my screen here. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to paste all the commands in the description of the video. And you can run the exact same command on your second server. And then the next thing that you want to do is we're going to run a command that's going to add our nodes to this configuration file. So you want to get your host name, which you can get it from here, but just in case you want to check it, you can type host name. It's going to display it for you. We're going to do the same thing here. There you go. And then the other thing is you want to get the IP of your server, your private IP, okay? So you can get this from your console too. You can run IPA here to get it, right down here. And we can do the same thing on the other one. There it is. Or what you can also do is you can go here, go to instances, and you can see your private IPs here. But make sure you use the private IPs, right? Don't use the public IPs. So now that you have the IPs, again, you can get them either from the console or from here. Once you have the IPs, you're going to want to run the following two commands on both servers. So again, I'm going to copy and paste. So basically, we're adding this node to this configuration file, right? So earlier we created the configuration file, and now we're adding our node web1 with IP of .173 to the configuration file. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And then the second command is pretty much the same, except we're going to add our web2 server to it. And so we have web server 2 with IP of .171. If you go back here just to confirm, the IP is 171. And we're adding this server to the OCFS2 configuration file. And you can go ahead and click enter to do that. And once you have that done, you can go ahead and cat the configuration file. So that's an etc OCFS2, and the name of the file is cluster. And if we cat this file, you're going to see that we created a cluster here, and then we added the two servers. We added web1 and web2. So now what we can do is we're going to go ahead and run the exact same two commands, but we're going to run that on our other server because we want to add both nodes to that server as well. So I'm going to go to this. And again, it's very important the configuration must be identical with both servers. If you mess up something, it's not going to work for you. There you go, and I'm going to cat it again. Both should look identical. There we go, so we have this, and then we have web1 with 173 and web2 171, and we're in web2 171 and web1 173. All right, that looks good. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to run a command that is going to configure our cluster. So again, I'm going to paste it here, and we're going to run this command. And here it will ask you if you want a cluster to start and boot, and you're going to say yes. And it's going to ask you for the name of the cluster. Make sure that this is the same name that when you created the cluster, that's what you pick for a name, right? So in my case, it's OCFS2. And so you can click OK. And then the rest of the configuration here, you can just leave it to the defaults. Okay. And this one's all done. And I'm going to go ahead and run this exact same command on. And again, here's the cluster name OCFS2. But I'm going to go ahead and run this here. I'm going to say yes to start and boot. The name is the same. Click OK. And then for the rest of it, just keep the defaults. All right. So with the next command, we're going to go ahead and bring the cluster online. And what did I do wrong? Oh, I need to start it first. So on the next command, we're going to go ahead and start it. And the same thing I'm going to do here. There you go. And then you can check the status of it. Make sure it's up and running. That looks good. And that looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is change some kernel settings here. So I can run the following two commands. And this is gonna change those settings for the current session, and this will make it so this whole thing works correctly. We're gonna set the kernel panic to 30, and the kernel panic oops we're gonna set to 1. And this is per Oracle's manual, so this is the settings that they want you to do. And then to make sure that we set this so it works on boot, we're gonna go ahead and edit a file in etc sysctl-conf. And this file, you can just go to the bottom of the file, and we're going to add these two lines. It's basically the same thing that we did earlier. We're just going to set up the kernel panic to 30 and the kernel panic oops to 1. Okay, go ahead and save the file. And again, you have to do that on both servers. So I'm going to go back here, run it like this. So it's set for this current session, and then go to nano etc sysctl-conf. And go to the bottom of the file and add them again. Again, I'll put all this in the description, so I don't really have to worry to try to remember those. All right, now that I have this, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then the next thing we're going to do is you can do it from either server, because all we're going to do is basically we're going to make the file system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this make file system command. But first, again, I want you to run lsblk to take a note of what lsblk, to take a note of the name, so it's SDB. So make sure your attachment is an SDB as well, because if it's different, your command will look a little bit different, right? But basically this is, oh, that ran too fast. But basically this is the command, nkfs OCFS2, so basically make file system OCFS2, and here we're giving it a label, just the name of the volume. I call it my OCFS2 volume, and then here dev SDB, it's because mine is SDB, yours is different. Make sure to put what you have. Okay, and then we're gonna wait a little bit here until the formatting is done. All right, and once your file system is successfully created, you can go ahead and create a mount point on both of your servers. I'm gonna call mine shared storage. So I'm gonna run mkdir shared storage on my first server, and I'm gonna go ahead and run the exact same thing here on my second server. And once you have it created, you can go ahead and edit your FS tab. So we can set it up so your disk mounts. So you can do nano etc FS tab. And in here, you're going to go ahead and add the following line. Again, if yours was different than SDB, make sure you put what you had. And if you create a different mount point than me, not shared storage, make sure you put what you had. Everything else should be the same. We have OCFS file system, and then make sure you have this netdev. It says down here in the restrictions, if you're running iSCSI remote block volume, you got to make sure you turn this one on, and then everything else will be the default. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. All right, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other server. So here and here, a little bit of a space, and we'll go ahead and save it. All right, now that we have this done, we can just go ahead and run mount-a, and that should mount our server. All right, cluster name is invalid while trying to join the group. Oh, I forgot one thing. You're gonna have to go ahead and register your cluster. So to do that, I'm gonna run the following command. So you're gonna run auto-cb register cluster OCFS. So OCFS again is the name of the cluster that we gave it. So if you picked a different name, make sure you put that there. We're gonna run it here as well, and now we can go ahead and try to mount. Mount-a, hopefully it comes successful. Mount-a here. And this one seems to have mounted successfully. I can run lsblk, and as you can see, we have SDB mounted to shared storage mount point, and lsblk here. And again, we have SDB mounted to the shared storage. Now we can go ahead and test it and see if it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch a file. Actually, no, let's nano file. Well, I'm going to call it from web1. And I'm going to say this is from web1. Go ahead and save it. Now, if I go here and list shared storage, and I can see the file that I created from web1, and I'm going to go ahead and open that file, and I'm going to make a change in it. I'm going to say from web2. I'm going to save it. Now if I go back to web1 and cat that file, and I can see the message that web2 left. So basically this is how it all works. We attach the storage to 2 instances, we set up the clustered system, and now both instances can talk to that same shared storage, read and write on it simultaneously without any issues. Oh, so there's one more thing that I forgot to mention, is that when you set up your FS tab, so let's go to our FS tab, so I'm going to do nano etc FS tab. If you read the instructions down here, they're going to tell you that since we're using iSCSI device, they recommend to use UUID instead of the path. So we want to replace this dev SDB with our UUID. So to get the UUID, you can exit here and you can run blkid. And if you look here, we have our dev SDB. The UUID is this long string of number and letters. So you can go ahead and copy this. And then we're going to go back to our FS tab, and we're going to replace this with the UUID. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and save the file, and then we're going to do the exact same thing for our other server. So we're going to go to OCFS tab. Then we're going to go here and we're going to replace this with the UUID. There you go. Again, go ahead and save the file. And just to test to make sure that it works, if we run mount, we see we have the shared storage mounted. So we're going to do umount to unmounted. And then once it's unmounted, we're going to run mount again to make sure that we don't see it anymore. And then we're going to run mount-a again to mount. And then I'm going to run mount again just to confirm. And as you can see, DevSDB mounted to shared storage by using the UUID. Again, I'm going to go back here just to make sure that, yeah, we're using UUID. So make sure you do that on both servers. That way, when your system reboots, and if for some reason that path changes, your external disk will still mount to your servers. And I think that's it. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you liked it, please click on the like button. And if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe for my channel. Thanks for watching.